Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to look at how to actually transform businesses in the incredibly dynamic and fast-growing market of Bangladesh. We're stripping away all the guesswork to look at the exact strategies you need to build distinctive, trusted, and truly competitive brands in this unique landscape. And to do that, we'll be drawing directly from the insights and methodologies of Trade and Investment Bangladesh, or T&IB for short.
You know, it's a massive frustration for so many entrepreneurs today. You've gone all in. You've invested in the best product, modern machinery, a super skilled team, but you're still struggling to actually make sales. Well, here is the hard truth. In today's fiercely competitive environment, just having a good product or service, it's really no longer enough to guarantee commercial success. Customers are literally bombarded with thousands of promotional messages every single day. So to actually grab their attention and earn their trust, you need something a whole lot more strategic.
To tackle this, we're going to follow a pretty straightforward roadmap today. First, beyond the business logo. Second, inside the Bangladesh market. Third, the brand building blueprint. And finally, the T&IB advantage.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Beyond the Business Logo.
We've got to shake off this huge misconception right out of the gate. A brand is definitely not just a cosmetic exercise. It's not just a cool logo, a nice color scheme, or a catchy ad. In reality, it is a core strategic asset. It's the total perception that your customers, your employees, and even your investors develop through every single interaction they have with your business. Literally every touch point matters, from your product quality and website design, all the way down to your delivery reliability and after-sales support. A strong brand communicates a rock-solid, dependable promise. Which brings us to positioning. Now, positioning isn't just some fancy advertising jargon. It's a profound strategic decision. It dictates exactly how a product should be perceived compared to everything else out there. And that directly affects your pricing, your distribution, and your entire customer experience. If your positioning is weak or confusing, it can make even a technically superior product incredibly difficult to sell. I mean, if the customer doesn't instantly understand what you represent and why you're different, they're just going to move on. To avoid falling into that trap, every single business has to answer 4 completely fundamental questions. First, who are our most valuable customers? Second, what specific problems do we solve for them? Third, why should they choose us instead of our competitors? And fourth, what should they remember and feel about our brand? Really nailing these down ensures your marketing isn't weak and that it actually connects your business strategy with what your buyers realistically expect. Moving right along to Section 2, Inside the Bangladesh market.
When we actually look at the incredibly vibrant landscape of Bangladesh, we're dealing with a market that is being driven by rapid urbanization and massive digital adoption. You've got this huge spectrum: price-sensitive mass consumers, a really fast emerging middle-income group, highly affluent buyers, and large institutional or B2B buyers. These groups have wildly different purchasing powers, lifestyles, and behaviors. So a marketing strategy that crushes it with one of these segments might completely flop with another.
And, to add to that whole mix, the competition is getting incredibly fierce. Highly capable Bangladeshi companies are rapidly improving what they offer, while foreign brands are actively pushing into the market through joint ventures, distributors, and especially digital platforms. In an environment like this, a generic, one-size-fits-all strategy, it's pretty much doomed to fail. Why? Because today's customers can easily pull out their phones and compare quality, price, online reviews, and reputation before they ever spend a dime.
So how do we handle this? Let's look at Section 3, the brand building blueprint.
Now that we know what we're up against, how do we actually build this out? Well, according to Trade and Investment Bangladesh, you need a very deliberate, step-by-step blueprint to identify realistic opportunities, rather than just building a brand on mere assumptions. It kicks off with market analysis, really understanding the trends and distribution. Then, target selection, because let's face it, trying to serve everybody usually means you serve nobody well. Next is developing a concrete value proposition, connecting what your product does with what your customer actually cares about. And finally, localization, for the specific nuances of Bangladesh.
A huge piece of that blueprint is tailoring your messaging, because honestly, you don't want to confuse your customers. Your brand needs a consistent voice. If you're B2B, your communication absolutely has to emphasize technical capability, compliance, production capacity, and ROI. But if you're a consumer brand, that requires a much bigger focus on lifestyle, convenience, emotional relevance, and social proof.
Now, if you're an international company coming in, localization is absolutely critical. Literally a make-or-break step. You cannot just copy-paste a home market strategy into Bangladesh without thoughtful adaptation. We've all seen big international brands fail terribly by using awkward translations or just totally ignoring local buying habits. Differences in language, culture, income, and how retail works mean you have to review your pricing and packaging, tweak your promotional messages, and develop authentic Bangla communication. The whole goal is to make the brand feel relevant and accessible to Bangladeshi customers, without losing its international appeal.
So why put in all this effort? Well, because when you do it right, professional branding yields real, measurable bottom-line ROI. It supports premium pricing, which means you aren't stuck in an exhausting race to the bottom on price. It dramatically boosts confidence among your distributors and retailers, it reduces customer uncertainty, and, maybe most importantly, it builds long-term brand equity that makes launching your next product a whole lot easier.
That brings us to our final part, Section 4, the T&IB advantage.
Because getting the strategy right on paper is one thing, but actually pulling it off in a complex market, totally different ballgame. That's where Trade and Investment Bangladesh steps in. Led by founder and CEO MD Joynal Abdin, T&IB acts as the bridge between having a great product behind closed doors and actually getting customers to recognize and prefer it out in the world. They specialize in taking your internal operations, your great machinery, your awesome team, and translating all of that into a clear, compelling promise to the market.
They aren't just some design agency whipping up pretty graphics. They're a full-on strategic partner. They offer this completely integrated suite of solutions, everything from business mentorship and strategic advisory to export support and critical buyer-seller matchmaking. Plus, they provide the technical backbone you need with digital marketing, SEO, and specialized IT services like pro website development. It is a true end-to-end approach built to drive sustainable growth.
And the feedback really speaks for itself. Like this note from Mostafizur Rahman, founder and CEO of CanBiz Inc. over in Canada, who pointed out how T&IB's strategic insight, market understanding, and hands-on support significantly contributed to strengthening our engagement with businesses in Bangladesh. I think that really highlights their commitment to top-tier execution and ethical practices, whether they're working with a local Bangladeshi enterprise or an international partner.
Just to give you a sense of the sheer depth here, T&IB actually offers 14 distinct branding and positioning services. We're talking everything from day one market and customer analysis to building value propositions, crafting messaging frameworks, planning new product launches, and even brand performance reviews and repositioning for companies that maybe lost their edge in the digital age. I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought. The market in Bangladesh is overflowing with dynamic opportunity right now, but opportunity alone doesn't guarantee your success. So are you going to let your valuable products go unnoticed and your highly capable business blend in with everyone else? Or are you going to take strategic action, partner with the folks who actually understand the landscape, and build a powerful, competitive brand that people trust and remember? The choice is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope it gave you a really clear roadmap for your brand's future.